Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before we get into it with our guests here today, well, first of all, everyone should recognize our guest. We have Lexa back on the podcast for the second time to sort of give us an update on what she's been up to since we last had her on. And, like before, she's our current guest. Lexa, thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you for having me. So I didn't really have anything exactly specific to talk about, but
No
we'll get
worries,
it.
dude. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm the guy that can meet someone at a bus station and talk to him for like 5 hours and just like, it's like Forrest Gump for me, really, basically. So, yeah, well, I always start this question off, even though I've been getting some complaints like, why does he ask about the weather for the first time? Because it's a good icebreaker, everyone. So, what's the weather like? And plus, now that I'm living in a climate now that's slowly becoming a winter hellscape within the next couple of weeks, I try to get as much warm energy as I can from the guests.
Okay, it's definitely warm here. It doesn't get cold ever. So I'm in Florida. It doesn't get cold. I'm originally from Chicago, as I stated, on the other podcast, and it doesn't get cold here. So I'm spoiled, and I don't like the cold, but I've been considering like moving somewhere cold eventually, and I can't believe it because I moved here and I was so ready to go to the beach and go to the pool and stuff. I don't even leave the house that much. So, yeah, I'm definitely spoiled at this point, but it doesn't get cold. So, if anyone's ever wondering, Florida, it never gets cold here.
So, you work out all the time for that body and you don't even go and show it off at the beach.
Nope. Or yeah, yeah, I don't. I don't go anywhere. I know, right?
If I put in that much time and effort to my look, I mean, I put in a little bit of effort. Let's not gonna lie, but I don't put in like I put in like 10% of the effort as the guest that I have on the shows. I would literally be out on a beach or in a swimming pool, like 24/7. I would just be like,
That's what social
yeah,
media's for.
well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess you got it right on that part at least. But yeah. So what have things been like since basically it's been. I think we're like 11 months away from the last time we had you on. So what have you been up to since then?
I don't think it's been that long. It was this year that I went on. So, it's probably been like 6 or 7 months. I want to say I came on in like February. It's actually,
Honestly, the way that time goes for me, like literally, you could have been on 10 years ago, and I would just be when I have this many people that I talk to, I'm just like, oh my god, like what is the? So yeah, now that I remember it, it might have been like we might have recorded it in January, and then it published like 2-3 weeks later. So yeah, it's been like 9 months. Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely this year. But same goes. I had competed last year, and then after that, it was kind of a shit show, so I just vowed to like take off as long as possible. And a lot of people say like, oh, maybe you only need like 2 to 3 years off, but for me, I'm just gonna take like 5 at least, just to be safe. And honestly, it's been like the best decision for me. So anybody out there that like is taking longer off to compete, that's honestly like the harder thing to do. Um, that's the best thing to do for some of us. So I'm really glad that I did that.
Well, and what's your reaction been like too to obviously this has been an interesting year in bodybuilding where there's been, some deaths and just with the extremes really getting exposed to the general public more than they normally have been. What has your reaction been like just sort of not being as a competitor now for a while now, just being sort of on the outside, just sort of seeing all this stuff happen?
It is crazy. I mean, I knew that obviously we talk about this because I knew that you went on with people and talked about it, and I think it's sad. It's unfortunate to see, and I don't really have any like buts to say about it. But obviously, like it's just ridiculous. Like the protocols that like Stephanie Fletcher's coming out with, and people are seeing doing diuretics for
Well, like
weeks.
she said, I'm surprised that she's still alive after releasing that
I
I was like,
know
how is she still alive? Yeah.
it's like a look up the draw. You know what I mean? It's like so to mess with stuff like that is just insane. Obviously, anabolics are one thing, but diuretics literally can kill you. So I mean, I feel like people just need to educate themselves before they listen to a coach, but it's sad that such a well-known and successful coach in the industry is really like putting out protocols like that. Like it's just obviously like he's an idiot for that. Like that's stupid. You know what I mean? Like scientifically, like that's stupid. So it's sad to see, and it's also sad to see people aren't educating themselves. But I understand because like once you're in that mentality, you're like a week out, you're willing to do anything. Like the only thing that you wouldn't do is like kill a person, you know what I mean, to get to that condition.
And that's some people. I know some people that might be like, okay, yeah, just meet me some random Joe on the street and I'll strangle him to death for you to get me that pro card. So, yeah.
But yeah, it's just really sad to see. But of course, as individuals who we need to look out for ourselves first and we need to educate ourselves. But I mean, anabolics are kind of like, they're not simple by any means, but it's kind of like, all right, a woman shouldn't take this. A woman is safer to take this. Obviously, nothing, no drug or anything is safe for anything. People smoke cigarettes. You know what I mean? That's not safe. But you know what I mean? But diuretics are kind of like a different story because I don't have any experience with diuretics. I took a diuretic for the first time last year at my show. I took a fourth of a diazide, which is nothing. And I looked like absolute dog because I know not supposed to cuss, so my bad. I looked horrible because I just looked horrible. Like I got super flat. So I don't even understand how these coaches are having these girls take this amount of diuretics because like you can only get so dry, like, you can only get rid of so much subcutaneous water out of your body, and then at that point, you're just killing yourself. So it's just really, really sad to see. But I'm also happy that I'm seeing girls leave this coach. While maybe their experience was good with him, it's kind of just like, how can you be that stupid to like give these girls this amount of drugs? It's weird. It's like weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've been surprised though too. What I learned from diuretics, because obviously had no experience with them, is that for so many people they've had more negative effects than they have positive. So I was like, why would anyone even want to ever take? I mean, but you said it perfectly. Where you said like people take cigarettes, where it's like people are like, oh, what do certain drugs do to certain people's body? There's people that have smoked their entire lives and they can live to be 100 years old, and then there's other people that drop dead at the age of 45 from lung cancer from it. So it's really just about picking. It's just the individual and how they react to certain things. But yeah, with those diuretics, I mean, yeah, I've heard nothing but negative things about them. So how anyone, would still even consider taking them? I mean, I understand as you get close to a prep, your brain is basically shot anyway. So if someone tells you, here, drink this, urine water, you could probably do it then because your brain is just so mush that you don't even know what you're thinking. But yeah, it's just it's a touchy subject in a sport though too. But I'm glad that at least people are starting to share it now because I know everyone that was in the industry knew about that stuff. It's just that everyone in the general public didn't really know about that stuff. And now that, all that stuff happened, and all of a sudden you had people like Stephanie who made all those videos with people, sharing their stories. And it's really great for them because, I'm not like trying to like stump everyone and like prove all that stuff, but it's nice that people at least know that now because, there's so many people I think that want to get into this sport and they don't realize, exactly what it takes to really be a competitive person in this sport.
Exactly, because you don't know what people at the top are doing because some of these girls are taking mass amounts of stuff and some are taking none. Literally, that's some people are like 100 and some people are 0. That's literally what it's like. And most people aren't like
I'm just going to say this. Some of these girls at the very, very top probably have more testosterone in them than me. So
easily. Yeah.
okay, not easily. Okay, barely. They beat me out
Yeah.
on the last injection. Okay, you kidding me? Come on now. But no.
Yeah, it is just crazy. And actually, I know that on the one reason that I wanted to get on again and speak to you is because I know that, and I don't care obviously, but like obviously if you like YouTube my name, it's like Lexa Stahl, steroids, and like this and that. So, and obviously if you watch it, like I had read some of the comments, but at this point I told myself like stop looking at the comments because people are just stupid and people are going to judge you no matter what you do, even if you're the kindest human in the entire universe. People are still going to pick one thing that they don't like about you.
Hey,
But
Jennifer Aniston still get shit on everyone. So if that wants to go and prove you a point, really.
yeah, say that she's all Botoxed up and everything just because she's gorgeous at her age, and it's like, leave her alone.
Which, by the way, if I ever had her on my celebrity podcast, I'm done podcasting for the rest of my life because I've accomplished everything that I've ever wanted in my life. Then,
To get her on,
yeah, I have to.
get her on. Let's call her out. Maybe she'll.
Hey, I did talk to Courtney Cox, so I got pretty close, but no cigar yet. So we're working on it, but we'll see what happens.
But yeah, so I was on the last podcast, and obviously I was like transparent about steroids and everything. So people probably, which whatever, I don't care what people think, but obviously like currently I've like vowed to myself that I'm going to take as long off as possible. Obviously I'm not competing, but the thing about steroids is people are like, oh, like it's really about how serious you are about the lifestyle. So whether or not like I I don't recommend steroids to anybody, but it's like if you diet and you train hard for years and you want to take it to the next level and you're not going to step on stage, but you're just as serious as a pro bodybuilder, then so be it. You don't have to step on stage to use anything. You know what I mean? It's just be cautious of what you're doing. You are using a drug. But I vowed to myself to take as long off as possible of everything just because like it is scary, mostly with like the facial structure changes. And that's something that's not with all the diuretics and stuff like that that everyone's talking about. Obviously, that's not going to do that to you. It's more of a health issue. So I'm more of on the side of like I'm not that concerned about the health because like you know what I mean. I'm not taking diuretics. I'm not pounding steroids. You know what I mean. But it's more so about like what's your face going to look like in 10 years of doing this as a young woman. So it's kind of it's scary. It's honestly like super frightening. So I had to kind of see some ladies and be like, damn, like I don't want that to happen. And also someone who I recommend that everybody should look at and follow. You've definitely had her on, Jamie Pinder. She is so transparent about everything and and the years of dieting and using drugs, like what it does to your face as a woman, not even just the drugs, but also like the dieting on and off. So that's also another reason why I want to take more time off competing because I don't want it to take a toll on my face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And believe it or not, I have not had Jamie Pinder on. I've been trying to contact her and get her on, but I haven't heard anything back. And I don't blame anyone because literally, out of all the guests that I send on, I only get like a 30% response back because people get so many messages that I don't blame them. There are certain days too where I like don't respond back to people just because I've already responded to like 10 other messages from other people. But I will have her on eventually because yeah, she's been so great with all this stuff. And everyone that I've talked to about it's like, oh yeah, you got to talk to Jamie Pinder because she's so open and transparent about this stuff. So
She's the only girl that talks about it, and most girls don't talk about it because they're actively competing or whatever. And she still uses stuff, but like she's just very transparent about the facial structure changes that can happen with dieting and using stuff years after years and stuff like that. And she's like gotten work done on her face, like, and it's crazy.
yeah. Whereas, me, I'm sorry, but I want that diet face. Just as a man myself, then I want that chiseled, Adams, basically like the statue of Adam face. Yeah, but I'm growing a beard out right now. We're getting close to no shave November, so I'm just getting an early head start on everyone. So hopefully I got like that long, Greek man, beard by the end of it. My Zach Galifianakis beard is what I'm trying to work on from The Hangover. But yeah, and so what is it the whole health and fitness journey been like for you since we last talked over the 9 months? Because I mean, obviously you're not competing, but what has it been like for you in the gym? Do you have other goals now that you're working on, like strength goals? Are you having other goals that you're sort of having to supplement other than your bodybuilding goals?
Not really, honestly. Nothing's really changed since we spoke. I still am just trying to gain as much muscle as possible without getting fat, basically. So at this point, before it was kind of like, and I think I probably touched a lot of basis on this in the last podcast, is that competing is kind of like it's really easy to get fat in the off season because you're about to prep again, but then taking a long amount of time off, you want to stay leaner because you don't want to go through cutting, bulking. So I actually did a mini cut during like the summer or whatever for like 6 7 weeks, so pretty quick, dropped like 15 pounds, and then now I'm just kind of slowly gaining and growing food from that. So it's really just getting stronger, gaining muscle. Nothing has changed with me not competing, you know what I mean? Like I'm still like training and dieting just like I would be competing in a month or next year, you know what I mean? So nothing's changed for me just cuz I love bodybuilding in general and I don't like necessarily need the stage to like do what I love to do. So nothing's really changed, just not getting fat and not using stuff really.
Well, please tell me that you're not doing at least as much cardio as you would be if you were on a prep.
I'm not doing any cardio. All I do is walk outside. So I just will do like a step count or sometimes really not. So I just like to walk outside. I haven't been on a piece of even in my mini cut, I didn't even get on a cardio machine. I just dieted hard and got lean and that's it. So I'll just walk outside for cardio. But I think in the winter I'll add some in just for like heart health and just for fun. But if you're dieting, like you don't need cardio for fat loss. You just need it for health. You know what I mean? Like if you're not dieting in like a I'm not eating little food. Dieting is just in my diet, you know what I mean? So I'm in a surplus, but like that's just the food that I eat. So like dieting is just my daily food, not like losing fat or anything, you know what I mean?
Yep. Well, being from Florida, being from Chicago, you can understand this. Whenever someone from Florida says winter, I just get triggered because I'm like, oh my god, you're talking winter in Florida, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we just went through like hurricane season and there was like a bunch of hurricane like scares, but like nothing really crazy happened. It rained here though from like May For like 2 months straight, maybe even like 3 months, it literally rains every single day. So that's something that we didn't know about Florida, but now it's finally calmed down. But yeah, the winter it's not winter. Like, I'll wear flip-flops. I don't own boots. I will never buy Uggs again unless we live somewhere else. Like, I don't need a coat. Like, I don't buy pants anymore because I have enough pants. So
Jeez. Well, at least Florida's known for having some interesting characters in it. Have you met any like really interesting people that would like the Florida man stereotype of just like this basically the sewage of the country basically?
honestly, I haven't, but that's only because we don't really go out much. I mean, there's like homeless people and stuff, so like some interesting like homeless characters that you'll see, but nothing. We haven't seen any like gators in the street or anything like that, and we haven't seen any like
Well, because I was thinking there was one story that broke a couple days ago of a guy who stabbed his brother because he wouldn't share mac and cheese with him at home.
okay, yeah, no, we
So yeah,
haven't.
that and I was like, of course they're in Florida. The guy was like in Tampa or whatever like that, and I was like, yep, Florida people.
Really,
So
he was in Tampa?
yeah, yeah.
Wow,
Well,
yeah. See,
I was thinking more of an Orlando vibe probably, but I was like, nah, it's probably Tampa. But yeah, I've only been to Florida once, and it was for a week for my spring trip for baseball. My junior year of high school, we went to Vero Beach, and yeah, that was interesting. Like I told you before, we were surprised about how many of those little damn geckos they have running around. Geckos are like
there's so many geckos.
they're
They're
the
so
squirrels.
cool.
They're the squirrels of Florida, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, they're everywhere. That's definitely one of the things that I like about Florida. Something that we didn't really know about Florida is that there's like cockroaches. Yeah, there's cockroaches here. It's pretty like common too. We don't see them anymore because we're not gross, but whenever we first moved here, we kind of seen them. But they like so it was terrifying because we're both from the Midwest
I
and
was
we
gonna
don't
say,
like.
I was gonna say, yeah. For anyone out there who's on the East Coast or whatever, when you're in the Midwest, you've never seen a cockroach in your life, and I'm happy to say that.
Yeah, and when you see it for the first time, you're like about to like like leave your rent. Like, you're done. We're like, should we move back? Like, literally. But that ship sailed really quickly because we're clean and yeah,
So you're gonna stand here and tell me though that you've been from Florida that entire time and you haven't seen one gator?
no gators. Yeah, no, I haven't seen any
I was
gators.
there for a week and I saw two.
We don't leave the house. I'm literally telling you, like, we don't do anything. Like, we go to the store and we go to the gym, and we both work from home, and it's like all we do, we just go to the store, literally, and like,
Nobody has a pet gator or anything like that. I know that that's a thing in some parts of Florida.
yeah, not around here.
I
Oh,
saw one guy who had it on a leash, like on a thing about Florida, and I was like, "Why? Like, what are you gonna?"
that's the goal. By the next time I get on the podcast, which will be like what next year, because I don't wanna bombard you again.
Oh
Keep
my
talking.
god, no! I have Rachel O'Keefe on like every 2 months, but that's just
Okay, she's crazy.
she
She's
has
wild,
she has the British accent though, so that's what she has going for her too.
so that's fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's way
fine.
better than Florida Gators.
Oh no, no well, it depends on what type of gator you have. Like if you have one of those like big old gators that was on a golf course and like looked like a prehistoric monster, basically, then that's a different story. But yeah, the gators that I saw, one was like a baby kind of ish gator, and then the other one was just like the baseball facility that we were at. It was just in the swamp next to it, and it was just like sitting there doing nothing. So we're just like, oh yeah, it's an alligator, and there was like a fence around it too, so it was like it happened to get in through the fence. So we don't know how that happened, but whatever. Yeah.
Well, the goal is to see a gator by the next time that I get on the podcast, and I'll let you know.
And if it's a night before the podcast, you just happen to like run outside and be like, "Where's the nearest gator?" or whatever. Like, I need to see it. Hey, that works.
There's got to be one within 10 minutes.
Yeah, that works for me. And do you plan on going to the wait? Is the Olympia in Florida?
Yeah, the Olympia's in Florida, so that's this weekend. No, I don't. No, I'm not going. I don't really care to go and watch competitors in real life, like on stage. First off, because like if I had a friend in it, then I would, but like I don't really like have any like personal friends who are competing in it, and it's like it's so far away, anyways, like stage wise or whatever. So I've never been to like the Arnold or the Olympia or anything. Probably will never go. The Arnold would be cool, maybe, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's one thing people don't know about me is that I've never even been to a competition myself. So everyone's like, "Why don't you go and like meet some of your guests?" It's like, well, first of all, Minnesota isn't really known for having hosting their pro shows and stuff like that. So there was, I mean, my high school, my alma maters, where some of my guests got their pro card at because, or no, not their pro card at, but they like did like their first ever show. But that's about it there. And it's like I'm not gonna drive all the way down unless I was gonna. So I was in Omaha the week before the Omaha Pro visiting my grandpa for 4th of July. And then I was like, I could stay an extra week and go visit there. But then I was like, I got some other business to do. So,
Plus,
yeah.
you're not really gonna be able to, like, talk to competitors or see them, like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah. It's like, what am I going to do? Like, say, walk up on stage with them and be like, oh, hey, I know you. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like, yeah. And then it's like, yeah, you go and meet the fans. And I was like, what? No. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, it's just, yeah, that's a whole different thing, really, really for me. But, yeah, and it's just, yeah, with all the stuff that goes on in this sport, I mean, there's so much more to the sport than just the bodybuilding aspect of it. So it's a lot more interesting to just have them on and talk about that aspect of it than just go and see it myself because there's just there's just so much this sport entails that people do not understand, and it really is fascinating. But what else do you like to do in your free time besides just go to the gym and do anything? Because I know your boyfriend or he's got to be a gamer then. So what other hobbies do you have?
I gosh, I don't know. I go to school, so I do that, online. I go to school. I know, right? I'm so lame. I'm so lame. I don't really do anything. I like to walk outside. I like to go tanning. Like, um, I don't know. We're about to get a puppy, so
What
that's
kind?
gonna
Okay, so what kind of dog?
okay, so we're gonna get a teacup puppy, but it's an ethically sourced teacup puppy. So it's not from like a puppy mill. So it's from like a really good, like
Oh, those are
fancy.
like those super small dogs.
Yeah, so I'm kind of debating on which breed I want to get. But that's been like my obsession for like the past week because I don't really have like a hobby. All I do is like work, school, or train. So I need kind of like an outlet. And I've been like better about like watching TV and but like I'd rather hang out with like a little puppy dog. But I want it to be like a baby. So um
Here's the only problem because we have a smaller dog too. Is that it's so hard to. I worry all the time about like maybe like accidentally like stepping on it or like accidentally like. Especially, it sleeps with my parents too. So like, if my mom rolled over once, that thing might be like a little like ugh. But yeah, so
oh, I know. That's like the biggest thing. And then also taking it out. Like obviously we're not going to take a tiny puppy to a dog park or something like that. But just taking it out day to day is something that I have to be.
ours isn't like a teacup puppy. Like ours is a decent like it's a small dog. It's like rat terrier size really. So it's not like a it's like
Do you
super
know how
super
much
small
it
dog.
weighs?
10 pounds, I think.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the puppy that we're gonna get whenever we first get it is gonna be like 3 pounds, so it's gonna be tiny. So I'm excited for that because it's gonna feel like a baby. Because I want a baby, but I'm not having a baby, so that's like my closest thing.
I think that was close to what our dog weighed when we got it. And maybe it was like 4 or 5 pounds that we got it. But we had ours is a Cavachon, which is a Bashan Frise mixed with a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. So it's got the long droopy ears and then the big old Cavachon eyes or the Cavalier King Charles eyes. So yeah, but it's non-shedding too. That was a thing that my mom always wanted because this is our second Cavachon. So my mom, after our first dog died, we all vowed that we would never get another dog again, at least as a family dog. 3 weeks later, we got another dog.
3 weeks. I was gonna say maybe like 3 months, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I was a little upset at first. I was like, really? Like 3 weeks later? Like I didn't leave my room for 2 days after we lost our dog, just because I was so close with the dog, and that was kind of my thing. So yeah, yeah. 3 weeks later, we got the same kind of dog from the same spot. And the thing is, as much as we like to give our mom crap for, our dog looks almost identical to the first one that we had, our current dog.
Really?
Like
Okay.
same, it's got the same black spots, the same white stripe on its line. I mean, it's a little bit skinnier than the other one that we had, but it is ridiculous. But yeah, you gotta send me a photo once you get that dog because I am
Oh,
like
I'm gonna be posting it all over.
the biggest dog lover around. Yeah, but
So
so you
yeah,
mentioned
I don't really have any hobbies.
yeah. Well, you
Just
said you started to watch TV now. What are your go-to TV shows? What are you watching right now?
I'm really not watching anything right now because I suck at finding something to watch. Because I just get like lost in my phone and I'm like, you know what I mean? But I watched a show called Made on Netflix. It was just like a limited series, so it was like 10 episodes, but it was really good. It was totally like the type of show that's up my alley.
MTV's Made.
No. No, like Made, like MAID.
Funny story. Okay, so Made the MTV show when it was a big thing in MTV days. People can look this up. My older brother was in one of those episodes.
Really? I remember that show, but I don't remember it too much because that was like a little like older than
Yeah,
me.
I'm 27 and she's like, what are you, 24?
I'm 22, so I like my
Oh, yeah. So yeah, this is a little before her time, everyone. But anyway, it was a big. So my brother's 29 now. So yeah, that's a big. But when he was in high school, what made would be for all the youngins that are listening to this is that they would take someone who wanted to be something like one of them. I think was someone wanted to be like a bodybuilder. So like they took a bodybuilder, they gave him like 2 months to work on their craft. But for what happened when they went to my brother's high school and a girl wanted to be a beauty queen. So they had a beauty pageant person come in and talk to her, and they interviewed people at the school to see like what they thought about Shelby or whatever like that. And Nolan, when they interviewed him, my older brother said if Shelby wants to be a beauty queen, I think she's gonna definitely have some problems. He said it so rambly though that they had to have subtitles underneath it when he talked. So he's like, if Shelby wants to be a beauty queen, they're definitely gonna have some problems. So it's that. So if anyone goes up and finds those old episodes and you look up the one from Bloomington, Minnesota, with Shelby the beauty pageant queen, the guy who says that is my older brother, and he's been on. He's been so lucky though. Like he's been on so many local TV. Like he's the one person where he'll find a way to go on. Like when Brett Favre was signed by the Vikings, they went to some local high school to figure out like what their starting quarterback thought of. They went to my brother's high school, obviously, and then so like they're like, "What do you think about them signing Brett Favre?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's great. He's really great. You know, he's the luckiest." And then whenever his team went to like the state tournament or whatever, they'd always interview him. I don't. He's just so lucky when it comes to stuff like that. But you mentioned made it. I was like, okay, I gotta mention that I have a little
I
celebrity in the household.
know
But
that the reality shows are actually like reality.
well, yeah, and then they were going to my senior year, so I was he was like a junior or sophomore when that happened. I wasn't in high school yet, but my senior of high school, they brought him back and they were gonna film Made, but Made got canceled that year. But they were gonna film one of the girls in my grade, just a white girl who has been the most privileged upbringing of all time, wanted to become a rapper. So they wanted to go and follow her with that, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be the worst thing ever. So like the camera followed her around for like a week, and then all of a sudden they announced like, oh yeah, this show's canceled, so it never got to air. But I was definitely gonna find a way to get on that show. Are you kidding me? Like I was gonna show up at the booth or whatever like that. But no, yeah, that would have been fun. But so I do have some shows for you though, and for anyone out there that's listening, The Great is a show that I love. It's on. Do you have Hulu? The Great. It's got It's about it's a history thing, but it's also a comedy. Like there's not that much history in it. Where it's about Catherine the Great of Russia, and it has Dakota Fanning's sister in it. I forgot what her name is. Ellie Fanning. I like her, and then she's in. It's really really funny. So I recommend that one. And then I've been watching. Have you seen the show on Netflix?
Yeah, we watched that like last year or whatever.
I was gonna say yeah, they got the new season coming out soon, and then they got the. Do you have Apple TV?
No, I don't even. I didn't. I've
See,
heard that,
I was gonna
but I
say
don't
like
even know what that
saying
is.
that she doesn't watch that much TV. I was like, okay, I should be
That's too
asking her that much.
advanced for
But
me.
like the morning show with Jennifer Aniston, the new show's on, and then like Ted Lasso's on there, and then For All Mankind's another show. For me, literally, when I'm not doing this podcast or working, the only free time that I have, I'm just watching TV. So that's it's.
Yeah, I want to read more, but I read for school, so it's like I kind of just want to lay in front of the TV and like just go on my phone and like
Hang
do
on, I
nothing.
don't know if it's gonna mess up my equipment, but I'm just gonna show you what I have. Those are all the books that I have on my shelf, then too, right next to you.
Yeah, I need to read a book.
But
Honestly.
I'm the person where like if I see a movie that I like, I always look up and see if it's like based on a book, and then I buy the book then. So then I read the book, and then I like see what else is wrong with it. So like I read so the one for me that everyone out there, the one case on the planet where the movie was better than the book, Jaws. The book is so bad. Or like they added so much more to the movie that makes it so much better. Yeah, that's the one case of like someone they actually did it justice. So, yeah, but I don't want to go rambling on too much about movies and TV shows on here because this is a bodybuilding podcast. Really, I don't want everyone to be like, oh my god, they're not even talking bodybuilding. So,
But
yeah.
seriously, all bodybuilders like watch TV. Like I'm
Oh,
pretty
that's
sure.
what I found too. So, are you one of the bodybuilders too, where like you torture yourself by watching like Food Network shows?
Honestly, no. That stuff is always like boring to me.
Well, now that Halloween Wars is back on, which is where they make like Halloween cakes and stuff like that.
Maybe I'll check it out.
Well, they have contests then too to see like who makes the best Halloween cake, or then they'll like make like a scarecrow that's made of cake and stuff like that. It's just, oh my god, it's the worst thing ever for me because like I just try to eat healthy and then I watch that and I'm like I gotta go get some cupcakes from like a Hy-Vee or someplace like that and just feast myself. But yeah, and then well So when it comes to, especially, I don't even think we talked about this last time. When it comes to, we are getting close to holiday season. Do you mix things up at all with your diet at all for the holidays? Do you let yourself? Well, now that you're obviously not competing for a while, you're just gonna let yourself, eat whatever you want.
No way. I don't even want to. That's the thing is like if I wanted to, maybe I would, but I find so much value and happiness in just tracking my macros and sticking to that. So like with my diet, I think that tracking macronutrients is like highly underrated and people think that like tracking macros means that I eat donuts and shit every day, but like that's not the case. Like I just kind of swap out different things. Something that I eat every day. So basically I won't do anything different for the holidays, honestly. I haven't had Thanksgiving dinner since 2018 or something like that. Um like I just don't really care to. Plus, I don't eat gluten and I don't eat dairy. So I just and anytime that I eat anything I don't normally eat,
But do you drink dairy? So like you obviously got to drink like but you just don't even have milk then.
I don't have dairy at all. Well, whey protein is like a derivative of milk, but whey protein doesn't. I don't personally for me like I don't consider whey protein as dairy.
Oh, so I put whey protein inside of milk. That's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just do almond milk. So yeah, I don't have dairy at all. I don't have gluten, and anytime that I eat anything like outside of literally my normal foods, like my stomach just doesn't sit right. And I'm really, really conscious of like I like to feel good. You know what I mean? So I just like my diet. Like I just love it, honestly. Every single day though, I eat protein ice cream. I make it with banana and protein powder and almond milk and ice and I blend it together. And that is like my like, I'm probably gonna make it, like, after we get off of here. I eat it pretty much every day. Like, if I don't have protein ice cream, I'm like, "Oh my god, I didn't have protein ice cream today." And so that's, like, my treat every day. But honestly, like, I drink zero-calorie sweetener stuff. Like, I'm not sitting eating chicken and rice for every meal all the time. Like, I have variety in my diet. I eat, like, different gluten-free cereals and stuff like that. So I think what a lot of people think about bodybuilding and like not even bodybuilding, but just losing weight, people think that they need to be on a meal plan. They need to be eating chicken, rice, and veggies and blah blah blah. Like who wants to do that? Okay, nobody wants to do that. Bodybuilders don't even do that year round. Very, very rarely does somebody there's like a select few bodybuilders that I can pick out who are like robots. That's obviously not a bad thing. That's
I've
awesome.
met two of them, and they are the weirdest people on the planet. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
weird in a good way, but yeah.
yeah, they just don't care about food and they're just like, you know what I mean? So like someone that's like that, that's like one probably the only person that I like look up to in sense of like work ethic and training. And I literally mentioned her in the last podcast, is Michaela Acock. She's like a total robot. She diets year round, she eats her meals and everything. So that's awesome. But for me personally, just for happiness and obviously she's trying to make her way to the top, but for, like, normal people like me, I would say, you know what I mean? Like, just eat what you enjoy and you know what I mean? It's more so about calories and numbers versus, like, food choices. Because people will be like, "Oh, what's a good food for fat burning?" And it's like, "Eat less." Like, that's the best fat burning food is, like, don't eat like an asshole, like, you know what I mean? So, tracking macros is, like I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to lose weight, whether you're obese or you're skinny and you're trying to gain weight, but you're scared of food. You know what I mean? Like, because it just gives you a measure and you can't change things and make results without having some sort of like control, some sort of measure. You know what I mean? So, tracking macros. So, boom. So, if I was ever to like want like a treat or something, maybe I would just eat a bigger meal or have something sweet or drink uh, drink some like diet root beer or something, you know what I mean? Like chew gum, stuff like that. And people want to come at 0-calorie sweeteners, and it's like get a life, like really, like you're gonna come at me for that? Like you don't even exercise, you know what I mean? So it's like do what works for you, do what makes you happy. If you like chicken and rice every meal, do that. If you want to eat protein ice cream every day, eat protein ice cream every day. You know what I mean? So it's just about what you like. And I love vegetables and stuff, so I eat shitload of vegetables every day and I just love my diet, so I have like zero desire to deviate from my diet at all, just because I love it.
Well, I got two things for you. So, first off, I live about 30 minutes away from farm country, and the saying around here is, if it's good enough for a calf, it's good enough for me. So that's why we drink our dairy down here, down up here at least. But and then secondly, Tiffany Boyle is the machine that I tell everyone. Her thing is that whenever she like is craving something or whatever off of her like regular stuff, she eats she eats baked what are they called? Grasshoppers, because they have protein in them. Yeah,
What the fuck? I thought you were
yeah.
gonna say like kale or something like that. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know about.
and people have eaten them. I've known people that have eaten some of them too, and because like they're that's like the most protein in a little thing that you can get apparently is grasshoppers and stuff like that. So, but yeah, she eats those, and she's one of those like she like drinks like a cup of tuna. She'll just drink it raw or something like that, or just like yeah, she's one of those people where I'm like,
I've done like the chicken shakes and stuff. I've tried that. Like I got my wisdom teeth out like last April or something like that. So for a couple days I did like chicken shakes and it was actually like super fire. I don't know if you know who Brie Marshall is. I don't know if you've had her on. If
oh
not,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, she does like the chicken shakes. That's like her thing. Like but honestly, like it is delicious. If you get chicken and rice and pineapple juice and almond milk and stevia, mix it all together, like it's sweet, it's good. I would eat that like it's very enjoyable. It's good.
Well, I thought of a perfect question here actually because you mentioned Brie Marshall, and this sport does seem to be getting a little bit younger now because this is always sort of known as sort of an older person's sport. Not real, well, not necessarily, but it's just like the older you get, the more developed you get, the more muscle maturity you have. So obviously, like your pros are going to be people that are in like their 30s and 40s, but it seems like this is getting younger and younger. Do you see that too? Just even in the gyms that you're training at, that it seems to be like more and more younger people are starting to get in shape.
I would say yeah, and that's one of the amazing plus sides of social media, you know what I mean? Because that's how I found out about working out. People want to say like whatever, but that's how I learned about working out. I mean, I had my first phone when I was in elementary school, so I that's how I found out about bodybuilding. That's how I found out about competing. Like that's why I started working out is because I saw competitors and I was like, "Whoa, this is what I want to look like." So I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? So it's like I started my Instagram, which used to be a fitness Instagram, but obviously now it's just my main Instagram. I started that when I was like in like 2017. So
Wait a minute, you got a phone in elementary school?
yeah, I did actually. But okay, so I got my first phone in fourth grade, but it was because my mom was getting rid of the house phone and she wanted, I walked myself home from school. So it was like 5 blocks or something. So she wanted me to have a phone. So
I went until eighth grade, and it was a whole big deal for everyone. Where I was like, "Oh my god, I'm getting a phone now. My entire life can begin now. All these possibilities." And then it ended up me just texting like five people for like a year until high school, really, and that's really about it. But yeah,
no, I think my brother got his first phone in like late middle school too. So about the same age as you. So he's what 26. So I only got mine because my mom wanted to save money and get rid of the house phone, and plus she was just worried about me like walking home from school and stuff like that. So
plus I got one of those flip phones. It wasn't like a flip phone, but it was like a long phone. It was like this, but like it flipped open and stuff like that. So it was old school. This was like 2007,
I
2008.
had
We're
like a
talking, yeah.
white like flip phone, T-Mobile like white phone. It was
That
like
might
one
have
of
been it, but it was but mine was black. Yeah, but yeah, it's a similar thing. Yeah.
yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, I remember that.
I still have it with me, but I don't have the charger with me. Where I've always wanted to up. I might actually buy a charger online and see all of my middle school text messages that I made, and just like go back in time and just
I
be
would
like,
like to do that too. That's like so
that would
embarrassing.
be. So I have
God.
an old phone that I did that too, and I saw my old high school text messages, and I was like, God, I was so bad with women in high school. So just even looking at some of my old text messages, I was like, Ryan, at least you've upgraded. At least you've gotten so much better. But it was like, just like I was trying, like sophomore year, like I was trying to ask a girl out, and I would just say the dumbest thing ever. Oh my god. See, that's the only bad thing about our generation is that like with Facebook and everything, we're never gonna live it down. Like people are like our kids are gonna see like how pathetic we were.
I had my first Twitter in fourth grade, and I remember my mom kept finding out and making me delete it. And then I remember like I would cuss on Facebook when I was in like sixth grade, and she'd like take that bad word off your profile. And I would like hang out with these girls that were like not like scandalous, but like kind of like I don't know, like my mom's like stop doing the duck face in the picture, like stuff like that. We used to do like the duck face or like the like this like so yeah. So that's the funny thing about being like our age now. It's like my whole freaking life is on the internet. Like
Yeah,
oh,
Absolutely. Well, one thing, because I know you're very open about it, though, is, and I love to talk to, is the OnlyFans that you have, because obviously, I mean, it's, you're very successful on that. But do you have any reservations of like when you are older, like still, like, because that stuff's gonna be on the internet forever, and that's one thing that I worry about too with all this stuff too that I do with podcasting, because it's like, what if I all of a sudden become like disinterested in the sport, and then but I'm never gonna be able to live it down that I was the bodybuilder podcast along with all the other ones I do.
Yeah, so it's definitely obviously I've thought about all that. Those were the measures that I had to consider with doing all of that, and it's just like obviously I want children and stuff, so that's like the biggest like factor. So like once that happens though, I'll have a different last name, so I'll kind of be a different person. So that's a good like thing to have, you know what I mean? And then plus it's like who knows where I will live, and that's far away anyways. So and then secondly, like something that I tell girls too is like don't do an OnlyFans unless you're ready to potentially lose your job or ruin your entire reputation, no matter what you
And
do.
see the worst side of people for a lot of times too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly, because people judge you. I tell people like OnlyFans the hardest thing to have about it. I'm not saying it's hard to me, but I mean like in general, the hardest thing about it is like the stigma of having an OnlyFans. Because no matter what you do on OnlyFans, if you frickin' play with your like dog on OnlyFans, you know what I mean? You cook on your OnlyFans. You don't do anything. You post workout videos. Like people are gonna be like, "Whoa, you have an OnlyFans."
I have
You
an OnlyFans page, and what I post on it was basically like I have a few videos like people that were showing me like their supplement drawers that they have, and that's really about it. And then people were like, "Oh, you do an OnlyFans page?" And I was like, "Well, if you looked at it for once, you'd realize that it isn't." Or I have like thumbnails that I don't use, like flexing thumbnails that I use for people. It's like, and then one guy commented, he's like, what if these people get mad at you for using those things?" And I was like, "Oh, for pics of me flexing, of them flexing for a thumbnail?" I was like, I'm pretty sure that these guys go on stage. It's, I mean, it's just you
yeah,
deal with so many
nobody.
different weird people on. I mean, it's ridiculous, yeah. But
Oh, absolutely. So, but honestly, like it's great. It's great just like it was. It's just a constant thing that I nurture daily, honestly. That's what I spend all my time doing. So that's why with like watching TV or something is like I try to put my phone like down and like because it's something that's constant. It's not something that you unplug from. It's something that's like and I'm like OCD about it, so I'm like obsessive with it. So it's kind of like, oh, like I need to check it. Like I need to make sure everything's good because I want to make sure my members are happy. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a constant thing. So that's why I want to get a puppy because it will like take me out of that tech world. You know what I mean? Because I really just want to enjoy life more instead of being like, oh shit, like the next move. What's the next move? You know what I mean? I need to post something on Instagram. Oh my god, I need to post stories. I need to do Q&A. I need to post on OnlyFans. I need to check my messages. I need to make sure everyone's up to date. I need to make sure everything's happy. You know what I mean? But I need to just unplug from life because I don't go anywhere. We don't do anything. So I just need to like enjoy life more because I don't want to be 50 and have all this material stuff, not like material stuff, but you know what I mean, like money and like literally I don't do anything with it. Like I need to focus on like my happiness, you know what I mean? Not that it's hard because I saw this post this girl made about like OnlyFans workers or like getting burnt out or something like that. And it's like no, because you could just unplug. But I understand that
and you
because
see
I
what this is? This is a camera. You know what you do with it? You click on it for a photo, and you know what that photo makes you? A lot of money. So yeah.
exactly. So it's worth it, but it's more so like I need to like enjoy life more instead of just obsessing about like this tech stuff, this media, this social media, because there's so much more to life, and I'm starting to get to the point where I am losing that because I'm obsessed with improving my business. So I'm like a workaholic, and people could say no, but they don't know anything. So
I am
anyone
just
who
like
knows
you
can
on that
say
too. Yeah.
that.
I'm just like you on too on that. Where like literally, I'm one of the reasons why like with me and jobs, I burn myself out way too much because I'm one of those people where I'm the most competitive. I'm competitive in the worst kind at times. I'm not like gonna sabotage other people or stuff like that, but like I am so competitive that like it just. So even like with this, like I learned a little bit to relax a little bit because like even when I started this YouTube stuff, like I was checking, like 2 or 3 times a day, like, oh, did I gain any subscribers? Did I gain any subscribers? And then I learned to chill out after that. But then even like with my Patreon, I was like, oh, did I gain any new patrons? But now I'm just like, yeah, I just go with the flow with it. But yeah,
Yeah, no, and people could think, oh, all you got to do is post and blah blah blah. But it's like no, it's like constant messages and constant. making sure things are good and literally obsessing about it. You know what I mean? So I'm not complaining about it by any means. It's so worth it, and I'm so lucky to be able to work for myself and work on my own terms and do this. Um, you
People
know, but
also don't realize though when you work for yourself, you work 24 hours a day. Like it's nonstop. Like
absolutely, like I
anyone that talks about like I my business professor in college was said the most important thing I've ever learned and said if you work 9 to 5 job, you leave at 5 o'clock, you're done with it. If you work for yourself, you're never done working, and that's never been truer since
not a
I've heard
bad
it.
thing because
Yeah,
hopefully, if you work for yourself, you're loving the work. It's going to be worth it. I won't ever work for anybody unless I just want to do it for fun, which I might do eventually because with my degree, maybe I think in like
what are you getting your
15 years.
degree in?
So my associate's was in kinesiology and health, so like exercise science, and then my bachelor's is going to be in sociology. So I graduate next year. So maybe I've considered like maybe in like when I'm older and like maybe when my kids are grown, like if I want to just work for fun, then maybe I can do some sort of like social work, or who knows, maybe I can start my own business to help others because at this point, like my life is revolved around me. That's kind of why I want to get a puppy too. And like I'm like totally like a caretaker, you know what I mean? Like just being a woman, you're most likely some sort of caretaker, you know what I mean? So I'm just like I work out for me. I do OnlyFans for me. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, so I want to like give back at some point. I tried to volunteer at the hospital actually, but with COVID, they didn't like accept me because I wanted to cuddle babies, which I don't even see that being like a thing. They're not going to let some random person come in.
Yeah, you want
Uh,
to come play with the babies? We'll leave you alone in that room. Yeah, no,
yeah, I know, right?
yeah.
It's too good
Well,
to
and
be.
plus, if I was working at a hospital and someone just came in and was like, "I want to cuddle the babies," I'd be like,
Yeah, literally, that's
let's
me. I'm like, I
let's
promise I'm not
let's do a background check on this person at least first." Yeah.
exactly. So I was like, but and so I'm already kind of at the point where like I want to like
Hey,
give back.
at least you're a woman though, because if I went in there and said like, "I want to cuddle the babies," they'd be like, "Arrest this man right now! Get him out
True.
of here!" Yeah.
Which is really sad, yeah, but I get it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really sad.
Oh,
But
that would be me though too. I'd be like, "Okay, that's weird. Get him out of here. Let's call the
I know
cops." Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
sad though, but you know what I mean,
Well,
statistically.
I would just for fun, I'd just be like, I want to cuddle all the babies. I'd say it like that or something like that, but no, but
Literally me, I feel like I'm so creepy. Like when I see a baby, I'm like, "I love you," and it's like the parents are like, and I'm like, "Please, I'm sorry." I just that's why I'm like, I need a puppy. I'm like obsessing over it because like I just need like something. You know what I mean?
here's the thing with me, I'm not a huge baby guy. Like I'll play with them. I'll be like, "Oh, that's cute," but like literally, I think it's just being a guy though too, where like if it's not yours, you really don't care. That's just kind of ingrained with guys. Like if it's not your baby, it's really you're kind of just like, "Oh, that's a baby." And when everyone says that all babies are cute, no, I got to be honest, with people. Some babies are ugly as hell.
I was not a cute baby. I looked like an alien, and I didn't grow hair until I was 2. I'm not even
I had a
kidding.
double chin as a baby when as I was born, or I had like a triple chin. Like I was an obese baby, which is weird because and then I became tall and skinny really, and that's the weird thing. But yeah, I was an obese, like I was fat.
That's crazy, yeah. You grew into
I grew into it,
it.
yeah, I guess. But last few of the questions I had these prepared.
Another that I wanted to say is, like, since with, like, doing OnlyFans, so I've never really been one to, like, I have clients here and there, but, like, that's not really, like, my passion, helping people with their health and fitness, which is interesting because, like but I'm more of just, like, the athlete myself, but I love helping girls with their OnlyFans and teaching them how to make money online off of their muscle, scandalous or not, you know what I mean? So that's something that I think eventually, like, I will definitely have my OnlyFans for a very long time. I'm just getting started with it. So that's something that I'll do for a while. And actually, with the scare, I know you heard about the scare, so that was like scary. So whatever happens down the line with that, I'm prepared. You know what I mean? But down the line, eventually, whether I stop my OnlyFans or I just don't want to do it anymore, or I just help others. I've had girls reach out to me to run their pages, so I that might be something that I will do because I'm like a wizard at the platform, so I could easily manage like 10 pages and still manage mine. You know what I mean? That would just be like just a lot. You know what I mean? Because I would want to run theirs in like tip top shape. You know what I mean? But I think eventually I'd like to do some sort of like seminar or like program to like teach women about the platform and how to do it and stuff like that, because I know a lot of like tips and tricks, because that's the only reason that I'm successful on it is because of the marketing that I do and the tips and the tricks that I do and the retaining that I do for my members and talking to them and stuff like that. So that's something that, so it's like a big business side of it, you know what I mean? I don't just go on and post and that's it. Like there's a lot to it, to like business aspects. So that's something that I want to teach other ladies, because they don't have the time, or they don't have the like effort or just the time really to learn about like how to do this, how to do that, versus like where there can be some sort of like program that they buy for like a cheap price or whatever that. And I help a lot of girls out for free too, just because it literally makes me happy, you know what I mean? And that's something that I've never really experienced, like helping people and like loving it, like, you know what I mean? Like just helping people just for the hell of it, but that's like something that I enjoy to do. So I think that I'll like do something with that eventually, like once I learn more myself and learn a way that I can kind of do like a program or like something like that.
No, absolutely. And what was your reaction like to the scare then? I guess since you brought it up, because I know some people were like freaking out, and other people were like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be interesting."
So my first thought was like, this is not true. This is not happening. And I was like, no way. And my first thing was like, holy shit, what am I gonna do? I
Because
literally
I
I
don't even get
cried
why
a
they made that
little
in the
bit because
first
I was like,
place. Because I was like, that's probably like 90% of OnlyFans income for the people that made OnlyFans.
that's probably like 99% of their income, honestly. So because the biggest girls on there, that's all that they do. The muscle girls are a very, very small population of us, you know what I mean? So think about OnlyFans. How many of us are actually
Like
bodybuilders?
less than
Not
one
that
percent
many.
for sure.
So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's why it's like tedious to be one, because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, she's got all that muscle." Like, hell no, I'm not subscribing to her. So it's a specific like like niche. You know what I mean? Like either you like muscle or you don't. You know what I mean? Um, so my first thought was like, this is not really happening. You know what I mean? And then as I started seeing more about it, and girls, because I have like a clique of like us muscular OnlyFans girls, we stick together. We're like a clique because we help each other cross market. We support each other. You know what I mean? It's just we just we all follow each other and support each other, stuff like that. And um, I started hearing them like say stuff about it. So in like group chats and stuff, I was like, holy shit, like this is really happening. And then they kind of came out and said that only certain things are going to be restricted, stuff that's like extreme, that's like none of us do that anyways, you know what I mean? But then they came out and said that, and it was like, my thing was like, how are they going to monitor that? There is no possible way that they're going to monitor that. No way. No way. Good luck. Good luck deleting all of that. So now they went back on it, and obviously they're not doing anything, but they lost so much in those 2 days, 3 days of that. Like I've seen users just delete themselves. Like people, like some of my members just deleted it because they just were like, "Screw this! I'm not putting $1 into this anymore." You know what I mean? So I'm glad that they didn't go back on it, but that just goes to, and a lot of girls are outraged by it. A lot of creators are outraged because they're like, wow, like I've made so much money for this platform and this is what they're going to do, because they take 20% of everything. So that's a lot. And then also with international users, they also take more fees and stuff like that. I don't know if it's due to the conversion for the currency or if it's just like a different fee, but they make a ton of money off us, and obviously that's understandable. Duh, like obviously I don't expect them not to, but like then to turn around and just kind of do that is kind of like, a lot of girls have switched over to like Fansly and stuff like that. And I have other accounts set up, but I haven't done too much with it yet. But I was honestly just mostly upset about the fact that I've put so much effort and time and energy into my platform and making it what I want it to be like over the past 2 years. And then just kind of being like, damn, like now you're gonna make me go somewhere else. Like it's disheartening, really, and it's sad, and
Well, and the thing for
yeah.
me that was the most interesting about my OnlyFans thing is that like the most I ever made in a month was I think like $150 in a month, and I was at like the top 29% of all creators, and I was like, there's so many people on there that don't make any. I was like, really? I'm in the top 30% of all creators, and I made $150, and so yeah, people don't understand that like you have to be very good at it in order to like make the people that make like so much money on it, like they are in such a minority when it comes to it, where like you're in, yeah. So
Oh, absolutely. Once you get it down, and that's something that is also a thing that I kind of obsess over. It's not even about the money, it's just kind of like progress, you know what I mean? It's like progress, so it's a number, you know what I mean? You wanna progress in any sort of number you see in life, no matter what, you know what I mean, if you're competitive at all. So for me, I strive to always beat it, and sometimes it's hard, like, if, like, holidays are coming around and stuff like that. So that's something that I'm kind of continuously, like, daily teaching myself that it's okay if it goes up because it will go back down again, and that's okay, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, once you get down there, like, it is so tedious, and it is so hard to get it to go down, like, more. But I remember, yeah, after, like, my first couple days on OnlyFans, I was already in, like, the top 30, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, so
Yeah.
so it's like, I think that they just take every single creator, even if they've made $0, which is pretty stupid. They should make it at least to where you've made,
Yeah,
like, a
which I
dollar.
mean, yeah, yeah, absolutely. One thing I did want to ask you before we wrap things up, though, just too, is because you are very open about the drugs and all that stuff too, and you mentioned that like obviously you want to have kids. Is that one thing that scared you too? Is like the whole fertility thing? Because we've heard, like with some of these drugs that they take. I mean, I'm not a woman myself, so I have no idea in that department, but I've heard that it can really mess up with your fertility as well.
Yeah, so it absolutely can. But honestly, that is something that is so like individual because obviously people, both men and women, have infertility naturally. You know what I mean? You could just no matter what. So that's something has that was always my first thought with it is like the voice and the fertility. Um, and that's like obviously my family knows that I use steroids. Like obviously they're not like, yeah, take it. They're like, don't take it, but like I can't control you. So like you know what I mean? Like, so whatever. But that's mostly like their concern because I definitely want kids. But honestly, like if you're a woman or a guy or whatever and you really want kids, then you better be ready to get that news if it is ever going to come. So if that ever comes, that's going to be like not the biggest regret of my life, but like definitely the hardest thing that I'm ever going to have to deal with. But that is a consequence that I'm willing to deal with if the time comes. So that's definitely something that I'm scared about. And that's one of the reasons, obviously, for all the reasons. And it's hard to be like a female bodybuilder who wants children because your fertility is not something you see. You see your face, you see your voice, you see these changes, but your fertility, you don't see it. So, if we saw like a fertility like XP or something like that, then we'd be more conscious of it. But you don't know until you're gonna do it. So that's just something that anybody needs to just be ready for. Obviously, I'm gonna cry about it if that happens, but there's nothing wrong with crying about it. But I'm ready to accept the news if that's the case. But honestly, I'm optimistic about it because I know people who have had plenty of stuff, and it depends on your partner as well. You know what I mean? So it's like it could be your partner, or it could be you, or it could be you've been like this your whole life and steroids make it worse, just like health complications. You know
It's
what I mean?
just
So
like
that's just
everything that you take in your life and everything you do, it just depends on the individual. Yeah, there's not one general thing where it's like, "Oh, if you do this much, you won't be able to have kids," or if you do that. It really just depends. And again, I bring back the smoking where, there are people who live to 105 that have smoked 10 packs a day, and then there are people that drop dead at 40 from lung cancer. So it really does just depend on the person. Now, I asked you these two questions the first podcast, but I ask these to every guest no matter how many times they come on because the answers could change. If someone were to walk up to you and say, we made the decision, you can change one thing about the sport of bodybuilding and everyone would go along with it, what would be one thing that you'd like to see changed?
ooh, I don't remember what I saw
I don't
last
remember either.
or
So
what I
this,
said
yeah,
last.
we'll see. I'll match it up with
So
the first one. We'll see if it was similar or not.
I know if it's different, that's gonna be funny. But oof, okay, that's a good one. So if I could change one thing about bodybuilding, uh,
Here,
I
I'll
don't
get, I'll
know.
give you
I would
mine
say
while
I
you think
wish
about it. So I'll give you some time to think then.
I well, I thought of it now. I think that this is what I said last time. I think that I said that we could make it more so about hard work and not just about genetics. Obviously, it's cool, but genetics are like the biggest thing for bodybuilding. You know what I mean? It depends how you're going to look. It depends how you're going to respond to anything. So I think that that's what I would change because with other sports, obviously it's highly genetic. Nobody can just be a great, perfect quarterback. Like I don't care what you say. You know what I mean? Like that is very genetic. But obviously it's hard. It's hard work and practice and stuff like that. And so is bodybuilding, obviously. But like it'd be cool if bodybuilding was like more sport oriented. Like that's why I really like like value like Michaela Aycock, because if competitions were based on work ethic, she would win them all. So it's not that I wish that competitions were more based on work ethic versus just who looks the best. Because just because you look the best does not mean you work the hardest, and that's okay. And that's bodybuilding. It's a vanity sport. Obviously, it's not, but like it is. You know what I mean? It's just about how you look. It doesn't like on the stage that day. Obviously, there's so much mental to it and so much everything. But like on the stage that day, it's vanity. It's about what you look like. So, and we can only control that so much.
Well, also I think bodybuilders got to think that those if because I always tell people when it comes to the genetic things, like if those Icelandic CrossFit women decide to do bodybuilding in about 3 years, they'd win probably every category. So that's just proving genetics then too again. So we all got to thank God that they all of a sudden just said, hey, let's not do bodybuilding then, because I just don't understand it. They're all just so in shape and they're all just I don't get it, but yeah, that the genetic thing, unfortunately, like let's be honest, yeah, it's why you're a bodybuilder is because of your genetics. I mean, you can't. There, I've never met one bodybuilder where like literally they were just some scrawny little kid, and then they all of a sudden just magically, through all of hard work, working out all the time, they were able to get. I mean, it's like you have to have somewhat of a genetics behind it, but yeah, the hard work, yeah, like I said, Michaela Acox, yeah, everyone that I've talked to says, yeah, she's the hardest worker out of all of them. So yeah, and I mean, she does have a great physique, so it does sort of reward in that. But yeah, it's just she's also short too, so I mean, like that's another thing too. That I mean, like yeah, genetics.
Exactly. Depends just your genetics or everything. And for me, it's like I have a great shape and a small waist and stuff like that, but like I don't pack on muscle easily. I might be like really big compared to other people, but like I do not blow up by any means. Like I don't want to say names, but like some people just blow up. Like I'm not gonna say easily because they're putting in the work, but like they might be putting in the exact same amount of effort as me, but like they might be way bigger than me because genetics, you know what I mean? So it's like
I've had those guests on here where
I'm at
literally they just
more.
look at a dumbbell and then they put on you like 10 pounds of muscle, and then you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah, and it's nice whenever people understand that like about themselves, because I've seen people say like, "Ah, I don't have good genetics," and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "I've been working out for 6 years, and obviously I look crazy, and obviously I'm not a natural athlete, and obviously like whatever, I'm developed, but like there are Olympians that have been working out for 3, 4 years who shit on me, who make me look like I don't even work out. You know what I mean? So it's like, and plus, just depends on everything about you. You know what I mean? Like people like my bicep split. That's genetic. A lot of girls don't have that. A lot of girls don't have very wide lats like me. A lot of girls don't have a very small waist like me. But I am small still. I think I'm still really small. So that's why I'm taking a long time off, because to look competitive with women's physique competitors, I refuse to go up on stage again and I'm not gonna say embarrass myself, but like let myself down, and like I'm just not gonna do that. Like
Oh
that's
yeah,
just
I'm
not
just
gonna
gonna be completely
happen.
honest. You got to put on like 20 pounds of muscle or something like that if you want to like step. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I wanna be like at least like
yeah.
140 peeled, and then I have very long limbs too. So I look like I'm like God, I look like I'm at 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", I get. But I'm only 5'6", so so my legs
Oh,
are long as shit.
You're still a giant
I have
compared to
no
most of the other competitors. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, that also plays a role because I have a tiny little waist, so I just look like a child. I literally look like a child on stage at North Americans, and it was a nightmare. And all the girls were like big, big like black girls basically, and I was like, wow, like you like look like you just birthed me. Like I look like a child. You know what I mean? So it was like that's just not going to happen again. So people compete for the fun of it. I don't compete for fun.
If you go
I
through all of that
compete
for
for
fun
fun.
for a
I
prep, then you're a sick person. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I like the prep. The process is the fun to me. So I will still do mini cuts and get lean, but I won't get quite as stage lean because that's not good for my goal. My goal is to grow continuously for 5 years, not do it because I missed out on so much growth with 3 years of competing in a row. Think about it. You're prepping for what, 6 months? Think about all the muscle you're missing out on when you're just trying to get lean and get that fat off. So that's why I'm just staying at a happy composition year round to where I look good and to where I can grow and be healthy. And I've never felt like better. And that's what I said in the last podcast too. And it's been like that since. So, it just feels good to be healthy and to just eat and to just train hard year round and not have this like, oh shit, I need to eat everything because I'm competing soon. and then I got to get lean, and it's just like I could just live as a bodybuilder instead of a competitor.
Sort of similar with me, where my friend, he just ran his first ever marathon, and it was the Twin Cities Marathon. And he got like 40th place, and he ran it in under like 3 hours, something like that. And I just wanted to make a sign and just show up and say like, you didn't need to do this, and just have that on the sign or whatever like that, because that's just like me with running and with like all the stuff that people go through with bodybuilding. I just had to put that joke out there because he's crazy.
Yeah, if you don't like it, then don't do it. So I don't like to compete, and neither does my boyfriend. We both do not like. We don't really like posing. We don't really like competing. We just like to fucking train and get progress and eat and train. Just train hard. We just like to be. I don't know. We just like to be bodybuilders, whatever. And so just competing itself though is like not fun. The only time I really ever had fun competing was like whenever I won, which obviously, but like I'm not there for fun and games. I'm there to try to win. So I'm there to win. So competing to me is about winning. I'm not going to compete if I don't think I'm going to win. You know what I mean?
And then lastly, I asked you this too. If we were to talk to a year from today, which we will have you on next year, where would you like to be at in your bodybuilding journey? Where would you like to be at just in your overall life? Where would you just like to be at?
Um, Pretty much just the same thing, but just better and everything. So obviously I want to be bigger.
I
Obviously
want
I
to
want
see
to be
that damn
stronger.
dog when we
I
talk a
want
year from now.
I know, I can't wait. It's actually funny because like I I've been like joking to my mom about like a puppy, and she lives in Georgia, you know what I mean? So she doesn't live here, but like she's like, don't get a puppy, like you're gonna regret it, because she's not like an animal person. But I'm waiting until I get it and to send her a picture and be like, look at my new puppy, and she's gonna be like, oh my god, no way. So I'm like dying to tell her because I'm a big like I like to tell people stuff, so I can't really keep like secrets or surprises. So I'm just biting my tongue on that every day. So I'm trying not to like accidentally tell her because I almost accidentally already told her. Um, so yeah, so in a year, just well, I'll be graduated. So I graduate in May with my bachelor's, and then I might continue on, but honestly, I don't see the point because I'm probably never going to do anything with it unless I want to utilize it to maybe start my own business to help people. Because with sociology and like a previous degree in like exercise science, I
So
can do
sociology, isn't that like
a
the
lot of
study of
random.
people?
Yeah, it's like the study of humans and the way that they interact. So it's actually pretty interesting. A lot of the classes are very repetitive, but it's actually really cool. So I learned about like aging and like race and ethnic relations and like shit like that. It's really cool, honestly. But honestly, I think that maybe eventually I'll do something with it to help people, like maybe start my own business or something. I don't know, because like I'll be like I won't be tired of this, but like there's only so long that I want to like flex for
You don't
money.
want to
You
be
know what
you
I
don't want to
mean?
be like
Like I'll get
65
to a
years old
point.
and doing that. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. At some point, I'm gonna want to like give back, even if it's for a lot less money, just because as like a hobby. So I think that in the future, like my possibilities are endless. So that's really exciting that I'm getting a degree just in case I ever want to like who knows? Maybe I'll like do a bunch of different stuff. You know what I mean? So that's exciting. But that's really far down the road. So next year I'll still be doing my OnlyFans. I'll still be tracking my macros and not having a meal off. I'll have a puppy, so that's exciting. My hair will be longer.
Longer than
Everything will
already, you're
just be
gonna
better.
probably you might
So
accidentally choke yourself by sitting down on it.
yeah, hopefully I'm hoping for that. So but yeah, pretty much everything just better,
And that is
honestly.
awesome. And is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
Okay, so I'm gonna give a shout out to a girl. I don't know if you know who this is. You might have had her on. I think you had her on, Caitlin Hill. She just posted a
No,
picture,
another
and I
another one that
posted
I've
on my
been trying to
story
get on, but
actually.
I haven't heard back from her yet. So I'll keep trying.
You should get her on if you like that British accent. Then get her on. She's awesome. She looks insane. I saw the picture, like her. I opened up Instagram like 2 hours ago, and she was at the top, and her it was like a picture of her back, and I was like, whoa, like who is that? And like it said her name, and I was like, whoa, like that's her. And like obviously I know it's her, but like I literally thought it was like some like competitor, some crazy competitor from like Asia. You know those girls that like have IFBB Pro in their name, and like yeah, that one. She looks sick in that. Just the muscle maturity, and she's
What
only 19. Okay,
the
yeah, she's
fuck?
only 19. I know, right? She looks crazy too. Like I wish that I like had the best guidance like she does, because the UK coaches, like her coach, like is amazing guidance, and the US coaches, like a lot of them are just awful. As we are learning this year, they just love to like throw drugs at girls and stuff like that, and just everybody, obviously. But the UK people really know how to diet, and their people come in dry as hell with no diuretics and no stuff like that. Obviously, you don't need diuretics to get dry. And my first prep ever was the driest I've ever been. You know why? Because I dieted and I cardioed hard. I've never been as dry as I was in my first prep when I was 19, and that was just to dieting. You know what I mean? So adding in more things and doing all this extra stuff is not needed. All you just need to do is diet
Okay,
hard, and
so
that's
so
what
this is a
these.
photo of her from 2 years ago, and then she goes to looking like that from two. What the hell is going on, people?
Yeah, she's crazy. She's awesome. She trains perfect. She trains hard. That's something that she like has that a lot of people don't, is like a lot of people don't even. So with the coach that we were talking about earlier, like I've seen his protocols and he doesn't even evaluate some of these girls training. So it's like, what? Like that's something that I always knew from day one, like, okay, wow, like obviously if I train hard, like I'm going to gain more muscle than if I train like not hard, you know what I mean? I don't want you to have to bleep everything out. So, yeah, so and training is like so underlooked, and it's like, what? Like that is your stimulus. So that's something that a lot of people like lack. Like they have a coach that does their food and their supplement protocol, but like they don't do their training. What does your training look like? You know what I mean? So that's something about Caitlin Hill and Michaela Acock that I value, is the hard training, because they're putting in the work. They're not just like going in the gym and like, nah, you know what I mean? Like their training is intentional. It's hard. They're progressing. They're strong. You know what I mean? And not even necessarily just about being strong. It's just about like training properly, and you know what I mean? So that's what is nice to see. That's the only thing that could ever be like inspirational to me, is like, damn, like her reps are perfect. Like I want my reps like that. And that's what I used to look at Michaela Acock 2016, 2017 when I first started, because I found her pretty early in my journey, and I was like, damn, like how did her reps look that perfect? I've never seen anything like that. Then you see guys in the gym and they're just like throwing it around, and I'm like, this is the way that I want to train, because this looks immaculate. You know what I mean? So that's something that I really value. So yeah, shout out to Caitlin Hill, because she's sick and she's only 19. And I hate whenever people say like, "Whoa, you're only 21 and you look like that." Like I don't like when people take away from what you look like for your age, because she looks sick as hell
Oh,
even if she's
I add
40.
that even more to it because if you look like that good when you're that young, I mean, it's like, good God, yeah, that adds even more to me.
Yeah, so it's like, what are you going to look like in like 2 years? So it's wild. So yeah, but I saw that. I was
Yeah,
like,
you better
holy
build some bigger
shit.
damn doors at her house. Good God, but yeah,
I was like, damn. I was like, I
yeah.
need to go work out. Like what?
Absolutely. So yeah, shout out to her. And yeah, I looked on the thing and I sent her a message October 29th of last year. So I didn't hear. But then again, I never. So I'll end up sending. I only send two messages. Like if you don't respond, I wait like another year and then I'll send you another one. If you don't respond to that, then I leave you alone. Just because I only send the second one, just because some people might just it might just gotten through their lost to things or whatever like that. But yeah, if that doesn't happen, otherwise, I'll find a friend of hers probably and just be like, oh hey, tell Caitlin that I'd love to have her on. So that's usually how it goes.
I can see her going on. So two people, maybe since I said their names on here, maybe they're more likely to get on. So Caitlin Hill, Jamie Bender. I would love to see
Oh,
Michaela
I've
Acock
tried
on
for. She
too.
was one of those that I've always wanted to get, but yeah, I haven't heard. I think she's a little bit more of a private kind of person, so yeah, that's fine. But
That's exactly why I figured she wouldn't. But I would think that Caitlin is definitely featured on a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. So I think that she will be down
that'll be
to get
great. So
on.
yeah, and again, everyone, go and give Lexa a follow. I'll leave a link to her Instagram page down below. Like before, buyer beware. You will get inspired to get off the couch and stop eating all those Twinkies and get in shape. But again, Lexa, thank you so much for reaching out and coming back on. I really, really appreciate it.
Okay, one more thing. So speaking of Twinkies, I actually got this Twinkie flavored protein, and it was like really good. Yeah,
Oh,
so if you
well,
ever
did I
want
tell you
Twinkies,
so?
this
At our
is a
Minnesota
good.
State Fair this last year, every year they have a deep fried Twinkie that then they put in caramel and then they put in chocolate after that. So it's basically it's like a Milky Way if it was a Twinkie instead of on the if there was a Twinkie on the inside of it too, and it was one of the best things I've ever had in my entire. I mean, I knew I was gonna have a heart attack that night, so I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna let myself. That was literally I had probably like 14,000 calories that day, so I was like, yeah, I'm just not gonna eat then for the next. I mean, I'm just gonna without getting too graphic, my toilet was broken basically that whole weekend, but hey, it was it was well worth it. But I always want to leave everyone with a rotten image, so there's your rotten image for you, everyone. But again, you guys cannot thank.
So the Twinkie sounds really good, and like I'd like to look at it and maybe smell it, but like actually eating that like grosses me out because like all the gluten in my stomach just like just thinking just the thought of eating that and my skin I would break out and like my stomach would hurt makes me like a major like turn off
Oh,
to like
I'm
eating
gonna have a heart
sweets. So
attack at
that's
like
the
65,
best.
and I just accept that. I just accept that, and I'm just like, yeah, it's gonna happen. So might as well, whatever. But yeah, that's me at least. But
No, it will probably be me that will have it instead of you because everything's individual, like we're talking about. So you might eat all the Twinkies, maybe I'll
hey,
eat
I have
one
a
Twinkie
grandpa
and
who's
have a heart
92
attack.
years old, and he's had 4 heart attacks and lived. So who knows? He even had one while he was driving. He was able to drive himself to the hospital while having a heart attack. So more power to him. But again, you guys go and check out Lexa. And again, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank
All
you
right, this
for
is
having me
Ryan
again.
Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone. All right, that went awesome. So yeah, I know we had that big